everybody. Welcome to the Kerfuffle AI panel. I am delighted to have with me a treasure trove of secrets and beautiful people from within the industry. We'll start with the most important people, the people that drive this industry on, the suppliers. Alexander Ali of Finch. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, good afternoon. Yeah, feeling good. Ready to talk about some artificial intelligence with you guys.
Good. Talk about artificial intelligence to some artificial intelligence, as I've been deemed in my faking it until you make it. We'll come back to you in a second, Alexander. I want to get your background. Obviously, you've got some really interesting thoughts on this. Matt Goddard, I know that background anywhere, he says, Fanar. How are you?
Very well, thanks, Whaley. How are you?
Don't try and do the lag joke. It wasn't funny the first time you did it. Just respond normally, okay? Very good. Okay, you're actually getting me worried now. Mr. Mark McCallion.
Hello. How you doing, Whaley?
You good? Are we looking at an avatar or is this the real you? I don't know. You've
Absolute avatar. I don't even bother doing anything if I can avoid it these days.
Why bother? As Elon Musk said famously, none of us have to have jobs if we choose not to. And some of us won't have a choice.
I'm actually on a beach sitting somewhere else right now. It's great.
Yeah, there's the image I wanted plastered in my mind. You on a beach, oiling yourself up. Which brings me perfectly to the only person here actually able to talk about property from the coalface, the hugely suspicious about any sort of technology, Megan 18.
Hello.
How are you, Megan?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, not bad. All right, yeah.
Yoshi today.
Week. What?
Come as Pink Yoshi today.
Pink Yoshi. Okay,
yeah.
I'll take that. That's one I haven't heard before. Well done. I'll let you get away with that.
Yeah, that's what my child, every time I wear my kerfuffle hoodie, he's like, oh, you're dressed as Pink Yoshi.
Yeah, well, it's a brand that does appeal to children. That's another entirely. Let's leave that.
We just end this now before it goes.
That's what a lot of people do. Megan, can I start with you because you are our test case. AI has been now, and it really has. I mean, it's funny because it feels like we've been talking about this endlessly, but actually, it's really only the last year. Somebody got that on background? Could you just mute yourself if there's. Who's that? Is that Megan doing it? I love it. I'll just be honest. I love hearing myself as well. It's quite nice. It's quite a nice thought. Megan, you're our test case. Everyone's been talking about AI. ChatGPT blew onto the scene a year ago. We're now a year into it, and it's largely been a content-based theme, hasn't it? Brilliant as it is, ChatGPT has been, getting rid of content writers everywhere. What do you just on a basic level? You work for the fantastic Location, of course, who are. I was joking earlier. You embrace technology when it's right. What does AI offer up to you? Do you think at the moment is it something to get excited about? Is it something to be concerned about? Where do you see AI at the moment from yourself as a leading estate agent?
I think it's very exciting. We have an opportunity to time save, which I think for us is so far massively where it's working for us. To say everyone's always like, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that. And AI is quite literally typing property details. We do our blogs through that, with some support through that, letters. Someone actually said to me the other day, oh, I need a contract for a garage lease. I was like, whack it in ChatGPT. Let's see what it comes out with. And actually it was pretty good. So I think time saving is a massive thing. I think everyone should be cautious about AI, but not necessarily badly. I think that you have to be cautious because if you're not willing to adapt and willing to embrace AI, you will get left behind and then it will become a problem for you. There was that great quote, wasn't there? That's like, you're not going to lose jobs for AI, but they will be jobs that can replace you, basically, or something like that. I think I said that.
Such a brilliant way of mangling a truly brilliant.
I mangled that massively. It was really profound as well, I'm sure.
That's a classic whaleism. It was Nathan Emerson, wasn't it? Nathan Emerson at Property Mart was saying, you won't be replaced by the AI, but you will be replaced by somebody who uses AI effectively.
That's the one. That's what I was trying to say.
The new sober Whaley can do facts and memory ordinary stuff like
God,
this without a problem.
Whaley 2.0 built by AI.
Yeah, this is my avatar. So I think that's a really interesting angle, isn't it? In terms of that strikes me perfectly, and you highlighted it absolutely perfectly there. It is a wave. It is, if it's not breaking on us already, it's definitely going to in the next 18 months, 2 years. And famously with a wave, you either want to be on top of it, you certainly don't want to be underneath it, do you?
No, 100%. You've got to get on your surfboard and ride it.
Right, the kerfuffle surfboard. We're going to come back to that. Okay. Oh, that's what that is it? Brilliant. Okay. Right, Alexander, could you just give us a bit of your background here? Because obviously I thought I knew about AI, and then you started challenging me on it, and I'm like that guy in Fast Show. I changed my mind everything you said the minute you started saying something. Where's your positioning of yourselves as a business around AI at the moment? Is it something you're going aggressively for? Is it something you're keeping an eye on, a watchful eye on? Where are Finch up to with all this?
As with many businesses, the AI is not to be ignored. I'm not threatened particularly by these ideas that it's going to take over everybody and everybody's going to lose their jobs. I don't think that's what it is. But I do think that businesses, whether you're a prop tech supplier or whether you're a residential agent, you should be paying attention to what it can do for your business and applying it within your company sensibly. So it's this, for us, yes, we are looking at AI. It's forming part of our solutions. For those that don't know me, I'm a technologist by background. I'm that sort of stereotypical guy that when I was 8 years old, I was programming basic computers, and I followed that tech path throughout my entire life. So technology is at the heart of what I pay attention to day in, day out. And the business that I'm running, Finch, we help property companies with forms and contracts. So my interest around AI is, well, how can we use artificial intelligence to make forms and contracts better? And some examples of that include being able to guide people more easily through something that they're signing. If you're presented with a complex set of T's and C's, can you ask somebody a question about those T's and C's? Well, we could ask AI for that. And for agents, that's yet another way of saving time, which Megan mentioned earlier.
That's right. Is it just, Alexander, is it just an extension of that often quoted thing that, technology, if it's meant to do one thing, it's just allowing you to do more with less? Is this just the next much a more advanced version of that?
It's a leap, isn't it? What we've seen is we've seen a radical leap, and I think people became particularly aware of this when ChatGPT was released, which was this sort of watershed moment where everybody realized, oh goodness, actually there's something here that we've not seen before. I mean, even Google had their so-called red alert, which was this moment that they realized, actually we have a problem, because everybody used to be searching for answers on Google, but now we're able to go to a AI like ChatGPT and get the answers. So yeah, I think it's I'm losing my train of thought here, sorry guys.
That happens a lot with me. People get distracted, they get bounced around. I had a question to ask you when you filled in that survey, and hopefully I'm not breaking GDPR if I quote it back to you.
Sure.
And you made the point that you were far too technically factual, and you said, so I won't be calling any tech AI that isn't actually AI, nor is any solution that simply AI is in its way to an AI. It's unlikely AI will make a huge impact to us in the next 5 years. Now, given that this was in dog years, was about 1 million years ago, it was actually probably only a month ago. Is that still your view? Do you still think that there's not going to be that much impact? And would you mind just elaborating on that point? What are people calling AI that isn't AI at the moment?
Yes, I did say that, didn't I? So that was in relation to our business specifically, and in terms of what Finch is doing internally and with our product. And I think AI is, as tends to be the case, an augmentation. It's something that supplements and enhances an existing offering. It's not integral to it. It's not the secret sauce that's behind it. But proper usage of AI can make you faster, and it can get to answers quicker, and it can make you like you've got 1 million arms when you actually only have 2, because you can field things out to AIs to make things easier. to the question of tech which presents itself to be AI which isn't. There's various circles where this happens. Whether that's in the spaces that we occupy, residential agency, world of property, or whether it's folks who are investing in technology companies. Sometimes you will find that artificial intelligence was what we previously just called simple logic, conditional logic. So maybe, for instance, I was analyzing a data set of market trends, and I used to do that by simple rules when I was analyzing that data. These days, it tends to be more likely that somebody will call those simple rules artificial intelligence rather than it being the very technical definition of artificial intelligence, i.e. real neural networks, real machine learning, real generative AI. Investors often see this as well, which is a great many software startup businesses that are created who have AI at the heart of their business proposition, which are actually just a wrapper for the real AI, which will be, for instance, an API into ChatGPT or a generative, other generative application like DALL-E and the image generation, etc.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And you've mentioned my favorite tool at the moment. I don't say that often, but that DALL-E tool, for anybody who's not been on it, is truly, for a marketeer, just on a very basic level, it's incredible, isn't it? This is the latest paying iteration of ChatGPT. And Mal, you showed me this the other day, and I don't think I've spent a minute off it, basically creating some really beautifully batshit mental stuff. Mal, you are starting to be the go-to guru, if that is even a phrase, in this area here. Do you want to just give us, obviously, your background, what you're doing at the moment, and indeed what you're looking at in relation to what AI has to offer estate agents? Because what you showed me the other day really, really blew my mind.
For sure. And interestingly, on that DALL-E, obviously we're using it in Model Prop quite a lot as well. Did an item yesterday, actually released on LinkedIn and on the blog, which was Purple Bricks Zombie. And it would have taken an absolute, it would have taken years to get to that particular point, but it was just such an amazing image. So yeah, look, so my background is
wow, it looked like me at the end of a conference normally, that Purple Brick Zombie. That's where
I just put that prompt in and that was what came back.
That's half the key, isn't it? Telling it what you need, in all honesty. So just talk us through, obviously, because am I right in thinking there were some quite big niche AI niche tools at creating illustrations and everything else there, but it was almost pseudo techie. And again, in the way that ChatGPT came back with natural language, natural searches there, this DALL-E obviously seems to be having the same effect. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely right. Yeah, you can go to Midjourney and various others, and you needed to have a specific way of describing, and there was all sorts of different features that you needed to include or otherwise in order for it to be to bring back what you wanted. But so for me, my background is I helped set up Prime Location back in 2000, a very long time ago, and Zoopla in 2008. So I've been sort of in the property technology business for way long. This as it stands right now. So, and for me, when AI started, as you say, when ChatGPT 3.5 was launched back in 30th November 22, that was really a kind of moment in time to look at how can we deploy this tech in the property industry. Again, just coming back to what Alexander was saying, it absolutely is for augmentation, absolutely it's for helping do things better, but always I think it's got to be a solution to a problem. I think, again, all of us probably sitting here know of particular businesses that have been created that are literally a solution that are looking for a problem. I think here AI can help with market share, to increase your market share. It's got to help to strengthen your fees, improve the differentiation of you above your competitors, and also cut costs. Those are the kind of three things I think that any product, really, particularly an AI product, has those hurdles it's got to jump in order for it to be viable. So Model Prop, which is the business that I'm now running, and we started a few months ago, we're really focused on those three things. I'm playing around with stuff like virtual staging. Virtual staging has come on so much with AI now. It's really, really cost effective just to be able to remove, for it to look at an image, remove all of the furniture from that, and then add in brand new furniture. Pretty soon you'll be able to add in your own furniture into those rooms as well, and really see what a property can look like. And that obviously has a big impact for vendors and so on, and for people looking to move. We also have
truly terrifying connotations, letting my mind free with imagery around what my it'd be like Buffalo Bill's cellar. That'll be fantastic.
There's going to be some guardrails, which is the good news for
Okay.
everybody else, apart from you. Obviously, that's going to ruin your fun. But yeah, those kinds of things, that like the imagery stuff, you know, the blogging, as Megan was saying, you know, you can get it to write all sorts of content now. There's also AI assistants, so you can actually have AI that fine-tuned on you as a business, so it knows your team, the areas you work in, it knows your properties. So we've built an AI assistant called Elsa that essentially has got natural language searching, so you can actually type in, I want a 4-bedroom property near an outstanding school in Whitney, and it will go and find them off your properties. So it's just really amazing what else you can do. And as Alexander was saying, you know, you've got to make sure that it is AI. It's not just a smarter way of doing stuff. It's actually different, new, and I think that's what's really exciting. It's just and every single week something else is happening. It's great.
Yeah. So where were we? We were at the Property Mark One conference, and this seems like way back when in terms of there, and they had an AI guru talking, and I remember talking to the fellas there, and they were talking about, you know, as they would normally, can you please send us your slides a week or two in advance? And he said, just simply, that's just not possible, because things move so quickly. If I send it you over for, you know, 2 weeks beforehand, it literally is out of date by the time we do it. I think is that I asked that question about, you know, is this just an evolution of the tech? The speed of change is the point here. That is, what's the law where computers used to double in power?
Moore's law.
I mean, that Moore's law, isn't that just getting exponential? Once you combine AI with quantum computing and everything else there, I mean, this is just, the genie's well and truly out the bottle, isn't it?
It's going to be mind blowing. Yeah, once quantum computing gets involved as well, we're going to see so much coming so fast, and that obviously carries risk as well. You know, like you mentioned, the sort of the regulatory side of things. How does that keep up? There's some real struggles there. But
I think hold on to that thought now, because I want to get back to Terminator's definitely taking us all out in a second here, but I can tell from Matt's look, he's starting to drift off. He used to do this in board meetings when I gave my sales update. So Matt, do you think our board meetings could have been improved with a bit of AI interpreting what we both had to say?
I'm more worried about whether this comes through with the lag, Whaley, to be honest.
Yeah, well, you should be, because it is lagging, but that's fine. You know, you're only a technology guru. You don't, you know, you dial yourself up on whatever is GPRS. That's fine.
Yeah, where's the AI solving this problem right now?
Exactly. So, where do you see it, Matt? Where do you see AI? I mean, you work with a few. You work with quite a few suppliers, of course. Many of those have built their businesses up in the last year around this, or they're rapidly deploying it there. What's the upside potential you see from your point of view?
Well, for me, I think stitching together a number of points that Meg and Alexander and Mal have already made is this is a leap, and it's not just rebadging automation or workflows or tasks where you can see if A plus B do C. It's a proper it's a revolution, and AI is driving a revolution, you know, without boring people to death. You know, 1784 we had steam power, 1870 we had electricity, 1969 information technology started, and today AI is that revolution. And it's about people who are harnessing, as you say, there was that brilliant quote, I'm sure Nath nicked from somebody else, and before Meg absolutely bastardized it as well. But if you just think about technology in general, just putting AI to one side, you've got Mal sat there in his glasses at the moment, and what technology always does for us, it augments what we've got already. And in terms of Mal's glasses, it's augmenting his eyesight. Thank you, that bit wasn't lagging. So, and it's enablement, it's that edge. It's a tool for amplification, and the companies that are really taking this on board, and we're seeing that leap in a product sense. We talk about there's a guy called Jeffrey Moore who did a book, Crossing the Chasm, and it was very much about, it wasn't initially about product in technology, but you have those innovators and early adopters that are early to market, and then you have the chasm that products have to leap across before they get to the mainstream and the early adoption. I think what happened with ChatGPT and others around that, it brought that generative AI very much into the public conscience, and suddenly everyone was looking to adopt it. And I got badly caught out actually recently, because I was thinking, for me now, as Meg said, generative AI is very much table stakes for products in our sector. It should be everyone's creating property descriptions. Everybody's doing that. I've created job descriptions as an example, employed people using it. It's very, very good first draft, second draft, obviously as it learns. And I thought, well, actually, property descriptions is 6 months, a year ago now, and we should be moving on to sentiment analysis and natural language processing. But actually, companies need to embed that in their product properly, because you've got hundreds of agents out there at the moment who are generating things in OpenAI and then copy and pasting it into the main CRM. And so there's that sort of thing where people are needing to catch up now before they can start looking at some of the amazing stuff people like John Paul and the team at Prospector Pro are doing with their transcriptions using something similar to Otter AI, and then looking for the sentiment within that, and then sort of picking out various things. And that's a good blend of true AI in a proper sense that works. And we see it with companies like Listing Logic on a social media advertising, where previously you'd have to go through campaigns, look at where interactions are occurring, change what you were doing on a Facebook campaign, and then update them. And instead, these tools are using AI to consume that data and make those decisions. And they are true machine learning in that sense. It's not just a set of automation principles that's causing you to get those efficiencies.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing up Prospector Pro, not least because I'm a non-exec there, so I do
appreciate it. If I knew that.
This is the point where you should read out. Thank you for giving me the card to read that out, but I genuinely didn't. I think what's fascinating there, actually, knowing the guys well, is that was a product that was designed only last year that, didn't have AI at its absolute core, because it really wasn't, what hadn't exploded on, and is going to be a massive beneficiary of this huge explosion. And there's going to be a huge creation of, we're going to come back to it in a second, as Mal said, there's going to be downsides. Of course, there will be damage, jobs will be lost, but it's got to be on the basis that there's going to be a whole new swathe of both businesses and jobs created for people. And dare I say it, probably they're going to be a bit better. I'm going to just come back before to go back to that though, Meg. And you are, first of all, Meg, I like the way he's christened you as Meg. That made me giggle. You probably saw me laughing. You're our litmus test, obviously, to show that how far up our ivory tower we're getting caught up in. Is all this so far just making you feel okay? There's nothing here that concerns you in terms of what we're going on, that this is really just reinforcing your view that you spoke about at the beginning?
Yeah, I think we're all pretty aligned. It was interesting, though, when you said there about jobs being lost. So Spencer Lawrence stood on stage at EA Masters and they talked about this. Yeah. And he was like, are we going to lose jobs, or are we going to give the crappy jobs to AI, and us as people are then going to do what we do best, which is relationship build with people? So actually, it will make our jobs better. There will, inevitably there will be job losses, but then it will open up the need for people to do people things. Sitting in front of somebody on a sofa on evaluation, that is a people thing, and whilst we try to adapt during COVID and do the video val thing, it's not the same. Like it's just not, it's not the same at all. But I like that perspective that Spencer said, in that actually what it's going to do is enable us to do what humans should be doing, which is helping other humans, in a very real way. So that that's my only kind of take on the job side of things.
Yeah, and I think just you started name dropping the lovely Spencer, and you're right to do that. Not like that Anton from Australia, from Rex, who came over and had the temerity not to wear socks at a conference. I mean, that was just outrageous.
More than anything, Simon.
I've got to let that go, but it did rankle. But Ian Preston was on stage as well, wasn't he? Famously, of Preston Baker, and Ian's one of those advocates, early adopters who gone down the Salesforce route, has made it work seemingly, which is really, really difficult into the UK real estate market, as Salesforce would call it. And he's blazing a trail himself in terms of bespoking that AI. And what he spoke about, which reiterated everything you just said and what Matt was talking about as well, is that those admin roles he feels are largely going to be redundant in their business, and they're going to be able to repurpose those ones or obviously save money. And his view was, and I think they're already doing this already, they're able to pay, you know, a really decent percentage paying to get better people. And that then becomes an arms race in two levels. You're using the tech to be more efficient, but you're also doubling down and getting the best people. That's pretty powerful, isn't it?
It's super powerful. And also, does that not stand testament that actually that kind of top 5% of agents that you see getting all the shiny awards, those are the ones that will continue to thrive with AI because they're not being bogged down by the crappy jobs. And actually businesses like Paramount, like the business that I work in, LL, you know, like Red Brick, we're trying to remove those crappy jobs already because we're going, you know what, there is nothing worse than coming into the office and having crappy jobs or people shouting at you all the time when you can just remove that with the right technology.
Spot on. And you mentioned those people getting the awards. They're normally Kerfuffle members, so that's the link we need to make through. I'm just going to, just before bouncing back to Alexander here, we did that survey, and what I thought was going to be quite interesting was asking both suppliers and agents so that we could break it down. And I asked them the question, what impact do you think AI will have on your business on a scale of 1 to 10 over the next year? 1 being negligible, 10 being massive, as it were. Agents were a little bit more circumspect, and I think this was kind of, as I said a few months ago, 52% thought there would be a big impact over the next year. Suppliers clearly much more at the coalface of technology, 79%. It averaged out a lot more though in the next question, where we asked exactly the same question, but it was talking about over the next 5 years. And in this case, 75% of agents were, you know, again, thought there would be a massive change, and 84%. So it's much more closely aligned, and it's probably that thing where it feels like they know something's happening, but when it's going to happen. Alexander, first of all, is that how you see that as well? And as a follow-on question, if 75% of those agents do see it making a massive impact, is the 1 in 4, are they kind of writing their own death sentence, or is that overplaying it?
I think Matt mentioned crossing the chasm earlier, and that is a moment that is still to occur actually with AI, despite as fast as it is moving. It's already making a difference, but the perfect use case, the real market penetration of these solutions isn't fully embedded into the property industry just yet. So over that 5-year time span, yes, by the time we've seen those 5 years, it will have had that time to start making a difference. And the genuine use cases, not the hype that we see on LinkedIn and social media, but the genuine use cases that really make a difference, will have revealed themselves. And as I start to think about what you said about what about the others who don't see it that way, and therefore let's assume they're not going to adopt as much of that technology over the period.
Let's call them muggles. They're the muggles.
The muggles. Okay. Yeah. Well, the muggles are going to be a very interesting experiment, because a state agency is a people game, and it makes me wonder: does that make them more specialized? Does that make them more niche? Are they going to be the Rolls Royce providers? Is that where they need to position themselves now?
Your thought there is that they do become niche. That's when there's a scarcity as well, and if they specialize in that human element, there will always be a need for that. Is that, am I reading that right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It is that they may become more high value actually, which is my take on it. Which is it really depends on how much of people notice the sort of factory output. If I was to be really cynical about AI, the scale of output that AI produces, and humans are very good at noticing patterns. We see them eventually. AI has got a bit of a trick on us because you don't see the patterns immediately, but once you've seen them enough times, and it takes, with things like ChatGPT, I find it takes a few months before people start to observe, oh, hang on, that's probably ChatGPT. I've seen something that reads a lot like that before, and you start to notice the patterns. So there is, we mentioned Moore's law earlier as well, which connects into what I'm saying. I am a little bit cynical with tech, just given how close I am to it. And Moore's law was a prediction that the compute capacity would double every so many years. I can't remember the specifics.
Is it 18 months?
Something like that. But we hit a plateau in Moore's law. only within the last 5 years. The rule no longer was true, and there was a moment in tech history where all the techies kind of looked at that law and went, "Ooh, yes, Intel and AMD haven't produced this year a chip which is significantly on that scale." And I think what we are seeing with technology currently is that there are now so many people onto it, so many people deployed, so many people like me, right? People are out there at the coalface building solutions, that it's extremely quick to actually build these things out now, faster than ever it has been before. Because also everybody's commercially clued into this, right? Everybody sees this big opportunity to generate revenues, to create businesses, and there's a lot of people on it. So we've moved very, very quickly indeed. But the so-called artificial general intelligence, our Skynets, our Terminators that you mentioned, Simon. No, I don't see it. And despite how fast things are moving, I think we will just see the plateau sooner. So those were my thoughts.
That's really, really handy to know. Matt, can I just ask you, we asked in that survey for people to rank what they thought were the main benefits. At number 1 was automation. Number 2 was the ability to scale. Clearly, a lot of these are very closely linked as well. 3 was the cost-saving element that obviously Mal was talking about and you guys were talking about there. 4, helping with data analysis and trends. And 5, customer service through better personalization. First of all, do you think that is the right order? Do you think anything's been omitted from that list that you would have kind of picked up on?
I think the one that stands out is point 4, so the data analysis, but only as a follow-on from the data analysis. I was at a AI and health tech's webinar, seminar-y thing a fortnight ago, and it amazed me just the sheer volume of data that the health industry's got, how far behind they are in terms of trying to process it and spot anomalies and be able to utilize that. And the reason for that is that our health service is very dispersed, the data is very dispersed. So to be able to get a volume, they were talking about sample sets of a couple of thousand to be trying to diagnose impact on cancer. And I think for us, where we'll see it as an industry is where we can get that data collated. So the CRMs, I would say normally got a head start in this because of the way the data is set up. But Alexander with his background and me and you with our background, we know that maybe they haven't got as much as a head start than maybe we would think. But actually for agencies, that's where you'll start to see some opportunities where the automation and it can throw up through that data analysis and processing opportunities. But I think there's a couple of them, and I understand Alexander's point there about the Rolls-Royce service. I think anyone who tries to remove their interactions with humans to using AI is on to maybe a bit of a loser, like we saw with the banking industry when they suddenly put all their call centers in places where they couldn't speak English. So, wherever I'm currently sat, obviously can't speak English, but there'll be opportunities there to use AI through natural language processing, through maybe a WhatsApp interface to handle certain queries. And we've already got this, but it's very much if A, do B, then C, like type form, but be able to ask those questions, deal with some of those. I know someone I was talking to said about putting all of their PIQs up and available through AI, so that could be questions buyers could be asking very quickly without having to actually get on the phone to a neg who then opens the PDF and then sees it. So that sort of supplementary resource, without taking away the core part of having someone that you engage with on the sofa, that you walk around the property, they should still be that face-to-face. So it's not so much what AI will do, it's how people adopt the AI and what they choose to take. Do they turn it up to 11, or do they use it for those background tasks and processes? And really, for me, it goes back to old-fashioned time motion studies at Foxtons when the financial crisis hit, and we had 10 people in print room. We looked at, well, how can we streamline that resource, and how can we automate processes? And actually, by building a little piece of process in, we took that down to 2 people, and they were able to be refocused. And actually, it took us as a business back to where 80% of the workforce were actually sales focused, whereas before that, we were more like 50-50. And so that's where AI could be utilized in more of a modern take on time motion to really help companies streamline and do what Spencer's done, as Megan said about, whereby it's an actual, how do we get those efficiencies that let the people do what they should be doing, which is engaging in a human relationship.
That's really, really useful. And sorry, I didn't know you were on holiday. I thought when you were saying not people you own it over in Brixton. I thought that was a bit. You were going a bit off piece there, but
Grimsby.
Grimsby. Oh, that really is the hotbed of tech in this country. Then, Matt was talking then about companies that are looking to adopt this technology, as the man who is now again becoming a specialist consultant and advisor to helping those agencies do it. First of all, do you think that, as Alexander said, was pointing to, that do you think we're behind other industries? Are we pretty much in the middle, or I don't think we're ahead, are we? And then a follow-up to that is, what part of that prop tech smorgasbord that you're putting together of solutions are the agents most focusing on? What do they see as the main beneficiaries for their business?
So as the first question, I don't think we're, as you say, ahead. I think that I think so many businesses, so many industries are really struggling to apply this. Some of the larger organizations, I think it's almost on organizational size, depending on how much it's being embraced at this point. So look, I think that one of the wonderful things about our industry is just how many different types of agents and different types of customers we have. So there are absolutely some early adopters gunning ahead, really looking at this as the next phase. Megan and location being a great example. Also Spence at Paramount, Ian at Preston Baker, Richard James, etc. There's a lot of people out there really kind of looking at this and trying to understand. And your survey is really, really fascinating. I thought the second one was really key, which is, how can they use it to scale? Because that tells us that actually they're not looking to cut back and to get rid of people and all that sort of stuff. It's about actually how can we use this to deploy our human resource, for want of a better phrase, where they should be deployed and not just doing the machine stuff. So I think that's what I'm seeing, is a lot of people saying, right, what we want is for our humans to do human stuff and the machines to do kind of machine stuff, as Matt was saying about data and so on. So what I'm seeing is people looking around almost at their local community and going, right, if we were to be able to free up our teams, to be able to go out into the community and do more stuff, what would that look like? So it is like going and saying, right, if we deploy an AI assistant that can act and answer questions as if it was one of our team, but then can also promote local businesses. So we can kind of fine tune these assistants so that they know, what Megan's favorite restaurant is, and they can make some really nice, cool kind of recommendations on that score. When somebody moves in, giving them the link to this assistant, saying, look, ask it anything you like. We've been in this industry, we've been in this area for like the last 10, 15, 30 years, whatever. We know what we're talking about. We're here to help you. We're able to kind of do that. And also then going into the local community, going to the florist and saying, look, we'd love to feature you on our AI assistant. Would you mind having our kind of card behind your counter? And just kind of finding different ways of almost renewing that kind of like relationship, getting out from behind the desk, being visible. Because I think, as Alex was saying, people are going to become I find it so difficult to tell the difference between what is fake digital and what is genuine digital. They're going to start looking for real physical, physical brands that they can trust, that actually have a cost to faking it, right? And I think that's a real opportunity for local estate agents to really kind of reinforce that not only are they there for the moving parts of their life, but also for living, to help that experience, use that expertise, knowledge right across the time they're living there as well. And I think that's a real exciting kind of moment in time almost.
Can I ask a question? Because listening to you talk there, and I was it hit home. I was in Brussels last week for the footy, and I would just remark to somebody just how absolutely easy it is now to navigate your way around, what would have been quite a stressful scenario actually in Tokyo a few weeks ago. Now with obviously phones being all connected, the internet of things, you've got Google, you've got Uber, you've got all these fantastic tools that are all coming together and really mean that you are just much more comfortable, and that this AI now is going to just take that up to genuinely up to the very next level, wasn't it? I was using ChatGPT just to ask me for things, for example, that I should see in Tokyo, but therein as well, we've been learned to absolutely made to trust the tech, haven't we? When people, it's not like Ask Jeeves where you came back with some fantastic results. You know, Google largely people will believe it. But I was just on it the other day typing in, you know, who's the best estate agent, trying a few areas. And it threw up some absolutely bizarre things, not least as well, one area that I knew the agent had gone out of business. And this, I don't know if it's changed recently, but one of the last times I looked, the cutoff for ChatGPT 3.5 was something like the end of 2022. And I asked, you know, how was Liz Truss as Prime Minister? And it said, Liz Truss hasn't been Prime Minister yet. These are all minor kind of amusing points about it. But when you're led to, you know, live and believe that little device in your pocket, that throws up some massive connotations, doesn't it? Mal, just finish that point off. What do you think about that side of things?
I think it's absolutely a real kind of challenge, and I think, you know, it's incumbent on all of us, particularly those that work in the area, to make sure people are aware that there are things such as that, as they call it, hallucinations, where it's either making things up right off the bat that sound convincing, because essentially at heart, as Alex said, it's pattern recognition. So it's kind of almost predicting what the most likely next word is. So those kind of those mistakes, and also the fact that it doesn't have the entire internet, or has not had the entire internet to hand so far. Now, of course, ChatGPT, inside it has this ability to go and check things online. So you can ask it questions and it will go and find answers now much better even than 3-4 weeks ago. All right, so it is literally being developed all the time to cover that side off. But yeah, I think that, you know, it's the development of this kind of technology and how we are using it. Like you, randomly, I was in Tokyo a couple of weeks back, and you can use Google Lens to read a menu, you know, and it will translate it for you.
And you need it there.
It really did, and it's insane. But you know, but so quickly we get so kind of almost blasé about it, right? And I remember relatively recently being stuck down in Cornwall without my GPS had gone, and I had to go and buy a map from the local garage, and I was sitting there just looking at it going, I really have forgotten how to do this. And it's just like, you know, I used to do this all the time, and now I don't know. But yeah, I think, you know, as we go through the next few years, people are going to rely on the technology far more. I think it will become so much better. But absolutely, I think it's important that people know that it's not perfect right now, but it is so much better on so many things.
Yeah. Megan, do you think that demystification process, obviously property can and property professionals can get quite caught up in their own terminology and niche, and given as we know that, you know, we don't sell properties all too often in there, so that ability to become an expert at it without being an investor is few and far between. So things like AI can only help that comfort factor, I suppose, can't they there? But is there anything you've heard there just in terms of that sort of that cut of data, and you know, famously it's only as good as the data you're working on? Does that worry you at all?
Yes and no. I feel like I saw a lot of AI experts over conference season. Like it was like at one point I think I actually made the joke. I was like, what were these people doing before a year ago? Turns out the negotiators, I found out it started a lot earlier than I thought.
Machine learning, you've got to be hip.
I know, you guys are so cool. One of the things that I thought was really interesting was, I think it was Matt that said that, wouldn't it be cool if you could program your PIQ into like WhatsApp so that then people can I mean, that's like, can someone just build that? You guys are really clever. Can someone build that, please? Because I'd really
we'll leave these three to fight over it. I think Matt has the copyright idea there, but if Alexander's quick at coding, so whoever wins, basically.
I'm totally in. I'm totally in. So, but there's so many opportunities there, and I think it was interesting. You were talking about Google Lens. Have you seen you can get them in your glasses now?
Yeah. Yeah,
that's it's mental, isn't it?
Was that what Vicky had? Did Vicky have those?
Vicky's got the ones with the camera in, but she was like getting the ones with AI in them. So yeah, I think there's amazing opportunities. I think what it highlights is that AI is actually deeper into our daily lives than actually we really care to know. And actually, if people are like, oh, I don't use it, I mean, you bloody do. You just don't realize it. It's everywhere.
And that changed, didn't it, as well? With lockdown, famously before that, you could quite conceivably imagine that let's just say the older generation were never going to get involved. But then they all became absolute dab hands at FaceTime and Zoom and everything else. And the Silver Surfer thing, was double down. And it's a lazy analogy these days, isn't it? And that, I suppose that internet of things coming together with the AI now, famously, I was one of the absolute fuckwits that bought Google Glasses. And actually, Matt, I was in Brixton as I wandered around and said, please show me the way to this estate agent's. And I had 4 people following me, but that was a different kind of experience anyway. Google, please speed up.
I do think so. There is other things. So like, okay, so this is going to take a slight turn, but people always say to me, like, how do you fit everything in to your busy schedule? Well, one of the things that I get AI to do, or ChatGPT to do, is it writes my shopping list for me. So I'll say to it, right, these are the recipes that I want this week, and it will then create me a shopping list. Or even better, I'll be like, I've got a really busy week, write me five vegetarian meals, and it will give me a meal plan. Jason in our office, he's like into fitness, and it will make him a meal plan based on that.
Me and him both.
I know, so it's all those muscles and physiques. But yeah, so for me, there's like an endless opportunity, not just day to day in your business, but my God, I use it for literally every part of streamlining if I can.
Absolutely, it's just life hacking. There's one now where you can take a picture of your fridge and it will tell you, ChatGPT will tell you what to make, like what kind of recipes you can cook up from that. So it's trying to get into absolutely everything. It's insane.
I saw a really great TikTok this week of this girl whose boyfriend wouldn't come to her work's Christmas party. So she took a photo of herself in her pajamas and then asked AI to put her in like a sparkly dress and put a man's arm around her literally she said it to her boyfriend and he was like, who's that? He's like, well, you're missing out. You didn't come. And I thought, you know what? It's such a dangerous time, isn't it?
It really is.
Fake news and fake imagery is quite an interesting angle of this, going into the wider the point, isn't it? One of the things that I noticed, what was the one you mentioned, Mal, the precursor to DALL-E that was
Midjourney. Yeah,
Midjourney. So Midjourney was much more sort of, you had to get vaguely, Alexander will laugh at me, but vaguely techie to kind of even get on there. But one thing that was able to do is you could imagine famous people. One of the things I was really surprised once you showed me that DALL-E was it simply won't do, it won't imagine up, famous people or likenesses. It will do a vague likeness there. And that raises then the copyright issue, of course, in terms of what's coming on. What do we need to be aware of now? I mean, I'm assuming if you create something in DALL-E from a marketing point of view, do you have complete carte blanche to use that there, or is that going to become a bit of a legal minefield going forwards?
What has been tested at the moment is somebody over in the States had created this beautiful image via Midjourney, actually, and like a really intricate prompt. And they tried to copyright it, and basically went all the way through the courts, and essentially he could not copyright it. So anything that's been created with any of these tools at the moment, and by the way, this also goes through to logos and things like that. So be careful if you are thinking of using it to create some kind of brand imagery. You can't copyright it, and anybody else can nick it. So I think for what OpenAI that has DALL-E is doing is protecting itself and us by extension from basically creating some deep fakes that are going to get it and us into trouble. But that's not to say that there aren't things out there on the internet right now that you can use for that. I think next year is going to be really difficult because there's so many elections, right? There's the US election, there's going to be UK election, there's India, there's EU.
What was your stat on that, Mal? Was this the Polish election that there was a lot of messing around going on there?
Yeah. So basically, the guy they had a 48-hour window just before the election itself, where no election campaigning was allowed to happen. And basically into this dropped a fake audio purporting to be from one of the candidates, and they were neck and neck going into this. And it was a fake audio. He denied everything, and it was basically him saying, "Well, I'm going to buy up the internet. I'm going to buy up the election using money and buy Romney votes." And he ended up losing by 2%. Because actually enough people believed it. So it's going to be quite significant. And again, I think it plays into the hands of agents, brands that have stood the test of time and have been physically in their communities for a long time, those are going to be the ones that are going to have this default trust much more than online businesses.
And that's fascinating, Mal. And you showed us, I think it was Tom Cruise, was it Tom? No, was it Brad Pitt that you'd kind of, there'd be this AI image, forcing it to.
It wasn't me, not at all. But yes, there's Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, you can get them to say pretty much anything you like.
I mean that's really that's insane, isn't it? So that's like an AI version of Cambridge Analytica throwing its weight around here. Alexander, if I could just bounce back to you, do you think that some people have even discussed, having stamps on stuff that this is human produced or this is AI? I mean, my gut feel of that is just that the genie's out the bottle on this, and all that really matters is whether it's good or not. But bearing in mind that really deep fake stuff, especially when it's around video and first impressions mattering, being able to get it out of your head. What can you do to stop that, or can you?
Yes, this is an enormous area that has to be addressed within AI. In the world of property, this becomes more of a threat for your reputation and people putting fake things out there onto the internet, things you didn't say, things that you didn't do, that are very believable because they will appear in ways on the internet that you can't control, on other people's social media, being shared in the press, in the news. So you do need to be careful about this kind of thing. More directly, when you're onboarding customers, deep fake technology could be used to create counterfeit or forgery documentation. When you're doing your customer, etc., anti-money laundering checks. So these things need to be worked through. Now, the genie is out of the bottle, unfortunately. The technology is getting faster at producing fraudulent content. It's getting cheaper to produce fraudulent content. I would say the situation as of December 2023 is that the expense and time is still high enough that it's not a widespread issue yet. But we're in the hands of a sort of arms race that's happening out there in the world. Other technology companies, other clever people who are working on this problem need to provide solutions which actually lock this down. For instance, it may be that we see that we all have to replace our webcams and we all have to replace our microphones because we can no longer trust this wire that's going into my PC that that this is me talking. I need a new device which is capable of a digital signature that proves that this microphone is actually recording what I'm saying and you're hearing me and not an AI on the fly that's speaking my voice. So it's solutions like that I think will make the difference. I think there will now be more emphasis on being able to verify what was previously taken for granted. I mean, you take this into law, for instance. Can you imagine that CCTV was the cornerstone of proof? Yeah. I saw you on that CCTV, therefore you were placed at the scene of the crime. But now, no longer reliable. Has to be verified. We're going to need different cameras that we can prove with a better sense of trust that was actually recorded on that camera. So that's the place that we're in today.
I hadn't even thought that. I was watching that new cop thriller or whatever called Kin, and one of the criminals had said he'd been spotted. You stupid idiot, you got caught on camera 4 times. And what you've perfectly elucidated there is that, as you said, seeing is believing. Well, just not anymore, is it?
Be cautious. The public service announcement of all of this, particularly with social media, is to exercise vigilance and be cautious. Your imagery that's on social media, or the imagery of your family, for instance, the voice recordings. Let's say your daughter or your son is on social media. They're at the nightclub. They're talking. Yeah. That content can be downloaded. The voice patterns and can be recognized and put into a model, and a fraudster could then synthesize that voice and actually phone you up using your son or your daughter's voice and say, could you, I'm stuck, I'm in an emergency, send me some money.
Was it Google that had a test case out where it was literally, obviously it was using the AI to actually dial just on an auto dialer style thing, make almost, just prospecting calls and everything else there. I mean, that we're not going to be years away from that, are we? I mean, the ethical challenges, as we've highlighted, is a completely different thing. But from a technical basis, yes, it's a bit robotic at the moment, but that's going to disappear in no time, isn't it?
It's enormous. We've touched on this many times. Ultimately, this is removing administration, the sort of tasks that they're not the direct value, but they're things that help us get to where we want to go. And automating calls is absolutely one of them.
So can I just highlight then, obviously GDPR was our version of the Millennium Bug and largely forgotten almost the day after it disappeared. It seems to me, even before we start getting into this area of, direct conversations and calls and everything else, that with the explosion of content that's going to come out there from literally anybody now with ChatGPT or any of these tools can just become an absolute volcano of content, or crap even there, that being able to preference what you want, that people are going to be hitting that spam filter more than they've ever done before, aren't they? That need to almost have a smaller but more engaged database and audience is going to be the challenge going forwards.
Yes. So the tools are the tools. It's like the saying about guns. Guns don't kill people. Spam emails don't spam people. The spammers do, right? So it's the tools. We can always misuse the tools. So AI is just another tool, and it can be used for good and it can be used for bad. I think as a general statement across all of AI, it's again how we choose to use it that's going to make the true difference. And I think the folks that use it wrong will build a bad reputation for doing so pretty quickly, because at the end of the day, it's about the human relationships. You're going to annoy your customers, you're going to annoy your suppliers if you use AI irresponsibly, and ultimately that will cost you. So you, in theory, will stop doing it. Criminality is a different subject matter, of course. The criminals are going to criminal, right?
We'll do that on a follow-up one. So just last questions. I'm conscious, obviously, of time, and I think it's been fascinating listening to you. Our last question we asked, there was a whole host of different questions we asked. If anybody does want the survey, please drop us a line, and happy to fill it in as well. But we just said at the end, how on balance do you think AI is going to be a good thing? Overwhelmingly, against suppliers racing towards creation of the atom bomb and everything else. We were very keen to get it out there. Suppliers 89%, but agents, as I said, 75% is going to be a good thing. I guess, what do you see as being the biggest barriers to us getting to this nirvana of what AI can do? Matt, do you want to kick us off?
Probably implementation, like everything that comes along to solve efficiencies. If you don't implement it, it doesn't have any effect.
So it's almost like you need somebody who can advise them on that to help them get there quicker. Is that
ideal, doesn't it? I wish I had that background still, but my AI didn't fix my lag.
Well, no, and it's good because you started talking and Meg disappeared off, so it shows you're really appealing to the demographic. So well done there. It's all right. We can talk. We don't have to dumb it down now. We can really we can really play it out. Mal, from your point of view, what are the barriers? What do you think the main barriers to both suppliers, tech businesses, and agents getting it forwards? Obviously, knowing where to get started. What do you think is there?
So I often think whenever there's new kind of technology or new products and services coming into the market, it's about application. It's about what's it going to do? It's the benefit, not the feature. And I think AI is just another way, it's like digital, like mobile. These technologies have been here and they're great, but actually what do they do? So if I was looking at it from an estate agent point of view, a lettings agent point of view, it's like, right, okay, I want to increase my fees or strengthen my fees. How can I deploy AI in order to do that? How can I cut costs using it? How can I get a higher market share? And I think those are the questions that really that will lead you very quickly to an AI type solution, because there's so much out there right now. So that's where I'd always start is what's it for? What's the problem? And then the AI solution will start to come into focus.
Kushti. And Alexander, unless Megan makes a miraculous reappearance, Lazarus style, what do you think the main barriers are?
Stitching together what Matt and Mal have already said, it's the education of what can it be used for, and then the adoption and agents I find, particularly in the resi space, they already have a technology stack. They're already using major CRMs. They will already have a selection of tools. So it's about getting the AI embedded into those processes in sensible ways, because I think that's where it becomes more natural. It's the least friction to entry, right? To get it done that way. But there's definitely some interesting tools out there. We've talked about a few of them today. There's things out there that, it's grey behind me. You can see that out the window. We can use AI to make that sky blue, so you can have a blue sky any time of year. And in England, that's an extremely useful thing to have. Mal mentioned augmented reality and being able to change a room and picture what it's going to be like with your own furniture. And wonderful usage of the technology and the tools. Larger corporates, we talked about data analytics, will be able to go through these big data sets. AI exceptional at pattern recognition, really good use case, because that way it's all in house. There's none of those risks anymore of any faux pas with your customers in terms of what's being communicated and what those chatbots are doing. It's something that you're using to extract value from things that you already have in house, which I think is really quite exciting. Classification, another good example. You might be sat on thousands of property photos in your CRM. You need all those classifying. Is that a bedroom? Is that a bathroom? Which one has a photo of the negotiator in the mirror? Who left the toilet seat up? Yeah, we can get AI to work that out at scale. No problem.
The big questions are not the way. We finished that off on such a classy level there. Alexander, that's fantastic. Matt, Mal, Megan has just messaged saying she got booted off, so clearly needs a bit of AI help there. But personally, I think she's just running for an appraisal, always late. So that's what AI can help them out with as well. Gents, I want to say thank you very much. I couldn't think of 3 better people to help advise us. Agents or indeed suppliers, if you want to understand, that most difficult thing of where do you start, drop us a line back and I'll put you in contact with these 3 guys. We're putting together lists of the suppliers that are already doing exciting stuff with AI or have it on the horizon. But these 3 are the absolute pinnacle of their game at the moment. So I encourage anybody to have a chat with them. And thank you for making it, Megan, even though you couldn't be bothered staying. That will be noted for the future. Alexander, Matt and Mal, thank you very much for today. It's much appreciated.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.